Hey everyone, welcome to Lobby Talks. My name is James Lemon. I'm the founder of Otolo. Lobby Talks is the new event series by Otolo where we get to meet really interesting personalities from right around the hospitality industry. We have a short, sharp session capped at 30 minutes, and we just try and hear as much as possible about their life, their experiences, what they love, and their journey through hospitality. It's a pretty crazy time for hospitality right now, and we are really keen to support the industry and also just showcase the range of amazing career opportunities they are. A huge amount of people start their careers in hospitality across restaurants, events, hotels, vacation rental, all around the world. We want to make sure people feel like they can understand the career options available to them. How do you get ahead? How do you progress? How do you find mentors to help you pick out those next roles? So each week we meet with really interesting personalities and work through all of that fun stuff. So today I'm delighted that I'm going to be joined by Anthony Kranepuhl, who is an absolute industry legend working right around the world at just some phenomenal luxury brands. But he's going to be telling you all about that. So to get started, we always start in the same way. I'm going to head off to Anthony's favorite lobby, where I'll be meeting him and finding out a little bit more. Anthony, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, James. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. So this looks like a phenomenal place to spend our mornings. I'm loving the view. Tell us a little bit about where we are this morning.
Well, you need to travel a little bit across the other side of the globe to French Polynesia, to a place called Bora Bora. And this is actually a Four Seasons property, which I had the privilege to be part of the pre-opening team. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to sort of choose this lobby is that, for one, I don't think many people would have the opportunity of getting to such a exotic place. For one, it takes at least 24 hours to travel there. And I think, if you're putting yourself into the shoes of those, those honeymooners or people who are going for a once in a lifetime trip, traveling really 24 hours, perhaps sometimes more with stopovers, and you sort of get off the boat from the airport arrival, and you step up into this lobby, and you're greeted onto the right-hand side with a fairly dark reception. This is the picture of the reception at night. You really are getting yourself immersed into this lobby with Polynesian culture, with all these shells, bamboos, coral. There's this wonderful coral light structure on the ceiling. And then you just sort of take a look onto the left-hand side, and you've got this magnificent view where you can just sort of sit down, kick your shoes off, and sort of look at this extinct volcano, which is the panorama of Bora Bora. And that's why people come for it. It's those fantastic views, pretty much 360-degree views of only ocean and nothing really on the horizon. It's probably one of those lobbies that you'd probably never forget in your life. Yeah,
it looks fantastic. It looks absolutely amazing. And I think when people think of luxury travel, luxury hospitality, they are literally picturing views and villas like that. So I'm sure many of us are thinking, I cannot wait to get traveling again, and what an absolutely fab place to spend some time. So a shame we're virtual. Maybe next time we can do this face to face, sitting in the lobby in French Polynesia. That'd be fab.
Yeah.
But great. Well, look, absolutely fab to meet you, spend some time together. The next section of our chat is called Your Career in 60 Seconds. Now, I know your career, and you've got such a wealth of experience, but I'm going to put the challenge to you. Can you outline your career for us in 60 seconds?
All right, let's hit the stopwatch. So yeah, as you mentioned, a few luxury hotel brands, Four Seasons, Mandarin Oriental, Banyan Tree, Dusit Thani as well. Whether they're international or more regional brands, but in pretty nice destinations like Bora Bora we just saw. I started off in south of France, in Provence, with some of the companies. I've been to remote destinations like the Maldives, Seychelles, and unique places in the world such as Damascus in Syria as well. I've also sort of gone off the mainstream of hospitality when I became a mystery hotel shopper. So that was an interesting part of sort of seeing how audits are being conducted completely anonymously. I'm able to talk about it now because I'm not an auditor anymore. But then I've also became an entrepreneur and opened my own restaurant with my wife, which she runs nowadays in Bangkok. A little challenging at the moment, but after a while, you sort of miss mainstream hospitality, and I've decided to come back with a corporate role, still looking after a few properties in Southeast Asia. And I think nowadays with the challenges, it allows us to think outside the box, think differently, and I'm loving every day. Every day is a different challenge to think and look forward to.
Awesome.
I think it's under 60 seconds.
I think you did it pretty well there. I think you did well. Look, I mean, I think such an inspiring career. And you hit on a few things that I think people would love to hear more about. Firstly, the world of luxury hospitality, I think for many is really the pinnacle. Secondly, obviously being paid to travel to such amazing locations around the world is something I think people think, well, how do I get a little bit of that as I think about moving from my current role? And then lastly, I think it sounds like you've not just done the hotel thing, but you've made that transition to corporate, which I know for a lot of people is on their minds. But we've got 20 minutes or so to explore all of that. But I'd love to start with luxury. What is it about luxury hotels that made you make that your home over your career?
I think, it's more about all of the details, and I was quite lucky to have done a staycation in a really nice fancy hotel not too long ago. And of course, compared to the work I do, it's great to sort of see different hotel brands, see different products, see how do they compete against us or against other brands. And it's all about the detail in their product, but also the service, using technology nowadays to try and enhance that experience, because that's what everybody's looking for. We could stay in any property just to stay a night, but what kind of a night or 12, 24 hours do you want to spend in a hotel? Is it just, ordering room service from the phone, or is it ordering it through a tablet, adding all of these unique little bits and bobs that sort of make for such a great smooth experience as well? And we had a great 36 hours in a top luxury hotel here in Bangkok, and even to say that the top players are still making mistakes. Now probably more challenging than ever because they've got less staff to look after all of the guests. Guests are becoming more and more demanding. Guests are your local people. We don't have tourists from overseas, so you need to respond to the most demanding types of customers that you could have. And we're still paying high prices for I wouldn't call it limited service, but at the moment, like the pools are closed, the gyms are closed, some restaurants have to close or shorten their servicing times. But people are still expectation is super high. And to do it with less manpower, you really need to sort of go above and beyond the usual norm of what anybody was doing. It's we asked for, could we get the bill sent to the room, and it was the same receptionist guy from 8 in the morning until 8 p.m. So I was like, they're doing more than the typical 9-10 hour shift. They're doing a little bit more, and that's what's needed at the moment. It's we're facing such challenging times and needing to cover more than ever before.
Yeah, look, I think one of the reasons I love chatting to people as part of kind of my role at Otolo and our community is that whether I'm chatting to you now in Bangkok or people in Cape Town, London, New York, everyone is dealing with such a common selection of problems, right? This crisis around staffing, this crisis around capturing local demand instead of our usual international demand. It's really forcing a level of innovation and, frankly, resilience that I don't think any of us really planned for. So let's definitely dig into that. So look, our next section is called Good Day, Bad Day. And I know for you, I'm sure your career has not all been luxury lobbies and kind of, serving the high and mighty of luxury. I'm sure there's been challenges as well, but really nice way just to kind of showcase what life is really like behind the curtain. So I'd love it. Please take us through the best day of your career. How did it go?
Oh, I mean, there's been so many good days, I think, in hospitality. I think one of the best days ever was probably in Damascus, where I had perhaps, at that time in Syria, maybe a bit of a language problem. I wasn't an Arab speaker, and I'm still not today. I've got a few words only under the belt, but to sort of be able to still communicate with a guest at a luxury hotel, and that, they know we've gone above and beyond to make their stay really special for them, and to hear them say thank you, and you can tell when it's a genuine thank you from the heart, not just a normal thank you like you'd say to anybody, but when you can really feel the sincerity in someone's communication despite language barriers, you sort of take that take that even more to heart. And I think that is probably the pinnacle for me at the end of a good day, is to know that someone has really truly enjoyed their stay. They might not have had, you know, the luxury to afford 1 or 2 nights in such of a hotel, but they were able to save up and really try and enjoy every bit of it, and to sort of feel that it has touched them in a way, and to sort of have it being transmitted back to us. That's sort of more than tips. You know, some people think that, oh, I got, you know, $100 in tip today. That's fantastic. Tips are sort of, you know, people give it if they want to. In the US, it's considered a norm. If you don't tip, you're sort of looked down at. But not everybody's supposed to or able to sort of show their vulnerability, show their emotions with the staff. And who am I? I'm just a simple front desk manager or a receptionist or a concierge, but for them to pour their heart out, that's the best thing ever. You know, that connectivity with the guests. Yeah,
and it's amazing among, I suppose, all the glitz and glamour and celebrities of luxury travel. I think 2 things come out that we hear a lot. One is that whatever role you have in the hotel, take that moment to get out in front of the guests, right? Really understand the people who are on that journey, who you have a chance to help them have a good stay. And then the second thing I think is just, it's amazing that hospitality is open to everyone, and it's often the humblest people, as you say, who have saved up, and it's a really special moment for them to be able to have this experience. That those are the people who really make our memories, I think, as hospitality team. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know it's not all been plain sailing, so take us through a bad day. Take us through kind of the day that you thought, wow, not sure hospitality is for me, not sure I can continue. It keeps you awake at night.
There've been a few days which have been pretty bad. One of them was quite memorable, and still stays to mind. It was actually in Geneva, and it was all because of a lack of communication, unfortunately, which is, I think, the most problems for anyone I can imagine. But you know, you're pretty much there at the reception desk, and you've got a guest checking in and says that, oh, okay, I've got a room booked, a Riverview room, and I'm looking into the system, and sadly I can't find his booking, you know, and the guy gets completely upset, saying, no, I've spoken with your superior. They've agreed to change the booking to come 1 day earlier. So I'm looking like, okay, let me look at tomorrow's booking. And actually, yes, I did find the booking in the system, which had not been amended, sadly. All right, that missing link to the puzzle. And unfortunately, this guest was a member of parliament, knew how to speak perfect English, even better than me. I consider myself fluent, and he just sort of threw me off the chart. But what was terrifying was that he started shouting in the lobby at me in front of other guests, other team members as well. And I tried my utmost to calm that guest down, and in the end was still able to get things done at the end of the day. Managed to find him a room, sadly not the right room that he had requested, so he's still an unhappy customer. He goes up to the room, and I think all is sorted, and then I go to the back of front office, and there's a phone call and saying, yeah, there's this guest in room 123 saying he still wants to talk to you. Can you go up to the room? And as I take the phone, and he's still shouting at me over the phone, he says, I want you in the room right now. I was like, sure, no problem. Give me a couple of minutes. I'll get there. Of course, knock on the door. It opens it up, and I get shouted again into the room. And I'm like trying to apologize, find all the solutions possible. Unfortunately, that was one of those days where you're running at 100% occupancy, and that one room that he's in was the only room available. And, you know, afterwards, he sort of sat down, poured himself a drink, and said, no problem. I understand it's not your fault. It's part of the hotel's team, and that they didn't do the job, and let me cool off, and I'll see you a little bit later. Luckily for me, I didn't see him later, but I saw him on the day of his checkout, and I saw him walking towards the lobby. I said, hold it. I need to talk with this guest. I don't want anyone else to be shouted at. There's no point. Just get, you know, one person to be the main contact person. And, you know, he was able to actually thank me for not, you know, breaking down in the rude way that he admitted. But he was still a bit saddened that there was a lack of communication. And I think, yeah, that's the difference between a good and a bad day. Ensuring that communication goes through from A to Z, and that we can avoid disastrous days such as those.
Things are never smooth in hospitality. Well, I've got a bit of an echo there.
All the bumps.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Oh, I've got a bit of an echo, Anthony. I don't know if you could mute for a sec.
Sure.
Things are definitely never smooth in hospitality, especially when you're dealing with huge hotels and just hundreds of moving pieces, right, across rooms and F&B and leisure, and dozens of staff members kind of making every role count. I think that's huge. I guess what are some of your lessons in conflict resolution? That feels like one of those situations that comes up time and again. A highly stressed client who's got lots of other things going on in their world. It's not your fault, but it's certainly you're representing the hotel. What are some ways you suggest people do deal with conflict resolution when it comes up in their own working lives?
Yeah, I think it's the ability to take the time away from what you're currently doing. As you said, there's 100 moving parts in any type of operation, and I think being able to step aside with the guest and take the time to understand what they're feeling. Creating that sense of empathy, understanding what the guest fully wants to say. Try to let them blow off steam, if we can put it that way. And then try to take a gentle approach to see what is the guest actually looking for. Compensation, sorry, apologies. Do they still want to stay with us? Are they looking for an upgrade or something like that? And try to see if we can accommodate any of those needs or desires. And a lot of the times it's just being able to show that we are sincere, that we truly understand the guest and what they are upset about, and also showing that what we want to try and fix, that we really mean and care for them, whether it's 5-star luxury or a 1-star hotel. It's really taking the time away from your checklist that you've got at the front desk or housekeeping or anything, and going out of your way, and people will understand, especially if you're in a lobby, try to move them, offer them something like a drink, a tea, to sort of calm them down a little bit. Let them do all of the talking first, understand, and then let's find a few solutions to their problems. And most of the times it goes pretty smoothly. That's been my motto most of the years. Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolute masterclass in conflict resolution. Thanks, Anthony. That's great. So look, I want to move on to our next section, which we call Good Day, we call Last Day on Earth. So look, over to you now. We would love to explore your love of hospitality. So the world's ending tomorrow, but you have VIP access to any hotel you want and any restaurant you want, and any event you have in the world. So let's start with hotels. Where are you taking us for your last day on Earth, and why?
I'd bring you back to Damascus. I think when I was actually a management trainee there for 12 months at the Four Seasons, and it was literally my first hands-on experience with the Middle East. I still haven't been to Dubai. I don't know what it's like. I've seen plenty of pictures, but I can tell you that Damascus is not Dubai, although it is still in the Middle East. It's dusty streets. It's old, rusty taxis. You go into a supermarket, which you think you can read the price. It's all written in a different language. You've really entered a different world. And I think that Four Seasons has sort of become a bit of a safe haven for me when I was there, sort of finding a bit of isolation to that unknown world. But I think, the comfort that there is of that hotel, and when each of the rooms sort of overlook, the National Museum or Mount Kasyoun, which is just in the background of Damascus, a big mountain where a lot of people are living in just simple huts on the edge of a cliff. You sort of understand that big difference between luxury and poverty in a way. But I think the best thing about Damascus, and it's not just the Four Seasons, but it was the people. It was whether you're staying at this property or you're from that background, that educational environment, everybody was incredibly humble, and it was just fantastic to know that without being able to talk the same language, people will invite you to their homes, have a great meal with their own families, enjoy fantastic food. If you've tried Lebanese or Arabic food. It's just fantastic. It's not spicy, but full of spices, herbs, and the Four Seasons for me with that first experience in the Middle East, not knowing what to expect, being a bit frightened of being in that unknown environment. I think for me was sort of like a safety net, But I think that property sadly isn't managed by Four Seasons anymore. But I would love to go back there, perhaps because I'm still in touch with a few employees who are there. Sadly, some have passed away because of the Arab Spring. I guess it's part of life that, life and death, life still continues, things go on. And I have a really warm attachment to that part of the world, and sad to say that it's still not 100% resolved, but that's probably one of the places I'd love to go back to today or back in time. Just a memorable experience for me.
Sounds absolutely amazing. And I think it often is the case, isn't it, that these hotels are, kind of beacons of hope and of safety in otherwise kind of quite troubled and challenging areas. But absolutely, I think that's a country where we all hope for peace, and we all hope to have a chance to travel there again and experience that amazing culture you talk about, which I know is similar in a lot of countries when you get in amongst the local people and you get to have these experiences. I think it's so important that when we travel, we don't just isolate ourselves in these luxury hotels. We take those moments and really try and understand the local culture in which the hotel's rooted, its role in the community, its role in the kind of country's progress and development is huge. And how about food? What restaurant are you going to be taking us to on your last day on Earth?
Well, it's nothing fancy at all, to be quite honest. I've had one of the best meals actually on a local beach in Bora Bora. It's a public beach, actually. It's called Matira Beach. It's on the southern-western tip of Bora Bora. And it's a tiny little restaurant which serves, one of the best, probably the freshest tuna you'll ever get. It's probably fished in the lagoon itself. It's a tuna Tahitian salad, which is served with baguette or French fries. So it's a cold tuna salad, which is actually sort of cooked in salt water, and then it gets cooked as well in lemon juice and coconut milk, and served with tomatoes, cucumbers, onions. And really nice coconut milk, and you're able to dip your baguette in there, have your shoes taken off. You're sort of sitting under a little hut by the side of the beach. Your feet are in the sand, and all you've got is this peaceful lagoon overseeing French Polynesia. It's just fantastic. I wouldn't want to do anything else but have that, and that meal itself, the tuna Tahitian style, is a meal in itself. It's just fantastic. I don't look for the fancy things sometimes, although I love luxury hotels. But for my last meal on Earth, that would probably be the best place and meal to have. Yeah.
Sounds great. It sounds like the kind of thing we could all actually put together at home with supermarket ingredients, but I have a feeling it's not just the ingredients, right? It's something about the spirit of the place. It's something about the view that probably makes that just sound as perfect as
Absolutely.
you just made it. Fantastic. And how about events? What events has kind of changed your life and you'd go back to, or has always been on your wish list?
I think for me, it's always been my attachment or my love for music. I've loved going to concerts or even musicals in London or in Hong Kong or in Paris. Haven't made it to Broadway yet to watch anything, but I think one of the ultimate moments that I've had in life and happiness was going to a rock concert from Muse, which is a British trio rock band from I think from the late 90s, early 2000s, and who have shown immense success. I think what blows me away the most is that it's only 3 people in this band, but they're able to make such an amount of noise and get crowds or stadiums going, jumping on your feet up and down. I'm in my 30s, but I'd still be able to do that any day, any day of the week. So I look forward to getting back into seeing concerts or musicals, getting away from working from home and being with other people again. I miss that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting amongst crowds, I think, as soon as we start to feel more confident and vaccines are rolled out, getting that energy of a live performance is going to be critical. And of course, it's such an important part of the hospitality industry, right? Whether we talk about these big shows in stadiums, whether we talk about theaters, there are just thousands of jobs and roles kind of making it work in front for the guests or behind the scenes. Actually, Muse is from not far from where I was born in Devon. And what I love about bands like Muse is they never forget their roots. So whenever they tour, the first show they always do, they basically book out the beach in Teignmouth in Devon, and they do a huge crowd on the promenade. And they always do kind of a home show first, which is awesome. And then they go out around the world to some of the biggest venues there are. But really, they're kind of three local lads just kind of playing their hearts out, which is fantastic. I love it when bands kind of really stick local to their roots. It tells them a lot about kind of the characters and who they are. So no, fab. The pinnacle of the hospitality industry is looking after Muse, I'm sure. All good. Look, we're unfortunately coming kind of towards the end of your stay with us, but we've got a section called the Guestbook, and this is really where there's lots of people in hospitality who are thinking tough few roads ahead, but definitely some optimism. Some people thinking, look, is hospitality the career for me? Would love you to share a few words of wisdom about your time in hospitality that you could pass on to people kind of following your footsteps.
Yeah, I think there's a quote, I can't remember from whom, but I always keep it in the back of my mind. It's basically, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And if we put it into the perspective of hospitality, it's that the world is your oyster, but you need to be committing yourself to, let's say, going out of your comfort zone. For me, going to Syria was a choice. I was able to choose whether to go to Syria or to the Maldives for my management internship, and I said, let me go a little bit to something that I don't know, and Syria was that single step towards where I am today, maybe. For me, hospitality is always about keeping an open mind. Trying to not, put any blinds on yourselves, to try and be interested in what the other person is, where do they come from, what's their culture, what's their background. And one of the things that was another eye opener for me was when I moved from Syria, a Muslim country, to the Maldives, another Muslim country. And I thought, they're both Muslim countries. It's going to be, pretty much match for match. And it was not. It was a complete opposite spectrum where when I was in Damascus, I had Muslim colleagues, I had Catholic or Christian colleagues, but they never made any fuss about, okay, now it's time for me to go and pray because that time of day or day of the week. In the Maldives, I did face those challenges. Friday, noontime, I was in charge of housekeeping. I would try and follow up with some of the room attendants, go to some of the guest rooms to see how they're following up. And I found, all of their equipment there, but no more room attendant. I was like, where'd they go? They all went to go and pray. And it was such a complete contrast of from one country to the next, despite being the same religion, and so always keep an open mind, understand who you're dealing with, whether it's your guest, more importantly, who your team members are, and try and remain flexible. I think that is also the most important part, especially now because of the challenges. It's not always easy for us to do what we used to do. We need to do a bit more than before. But I think if you keep, your open mind and a flexible aspect to your work life, and being able to travel, then you'll be able to go to places, whether it's the US, Australia, New Zealand, so all these fancy other places, and there's still some on my list that I want to go to. So hopefully in the future I'll have a bit of flexibility. When my kids grow up, they'll be able to travel a little bit easier, and who knows, I might be able to work in some other exotic place as well, and share it with all of you.
Fantastic. So, fantastic. Well, look, unfortunately, we have reached the end of our time together. So it's kind of the checkout, if you like, of our stay. But firstly, I'd like to absolutely thank you for your time. I think some of your stories are just really inspiring. And I know one of the things I love, Anthony, is obviously you're a mentor on our Otolo platform, which anyone can join at myotolo.com. And I'm sure you'd be up for a quick message or a quick call with anyone who's thinking, yeah, you know, that kind of luxury space, that kind of travel is definitely where I want to go. So really appreciate all the time that you volunteer with us. We do have a short feedback survey for anyone watching. So please just kind of click that and give us some thoughts. We're just piloting these sessions. We'd love to kind of know what you think of each section and how we're running it. That would be great. We're actually back again in a couple of weeks' time. We're really excited to have Marlene Poynder on the 26th of August. So Marlene has been a mentor with Otolo for about a year. She is just such a passionate general manager around female leadership, around operations, around luxury. And we are super lucky to grab 30 minutes with her and hear her career stories as well. But for now, huge thank you to everyone watching. Huge thank you for you, Anthony, for sharing your afternoon with us. We know things are tough in Bangkok and we're all thinking of you and the reopening of hospitality. But really appreciate you sharing your story with us. And I'll catch you on something else soon, I'm sure. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.